My name's Andrew Talbot. I'm from a company called Custom Gateway, and we specialise in systems for enabling you to deliver mass customization. So today I'm going to go through workflow considerations for customizable products, or what workflow should I use. So I guess the logical starting point is, what are the key influencing factors that decide what workflow you should use? Now, if you've been in customizable or personalized products for some time, you'll realize that obviously the margins are higher, but the batch sizes are smaller. So you've got to effectively be able to deliver a high volume of small orders. So that is mass customization, if you like, using the principles of mass production, but applying it to, a batch of one. So the first key consideration really are order sources and volumes. So we'll talk more about order sources in a minute, but you have to assume in this market that everything is a batch of one. You will get some bigger batches, but the majority of things are a batch of one. So you cannot touch an order too many times. That's the most critical factor really in the whole of mass customization. The next thing to consider is decoration methods. So obviously there are different types of machines, which we'll go through in more detail in a minute, but the type of machine kind of affects the workflow you need to use, but the rules are still the same. You can't touch the product much. Carriers used and lead times. The best people in this market space aim to dispatch everything that they receive up to, say, 2 p.m. the same day. Certainly you need to be looking to dispatch things within 1 to 2 days. So again, your system's got to allow you to identify anything you miss and give you a quick flow from the computer screen through to your workflow. And all of these slides, etc., we'll be providing later, and I'll give you a link where you can pick them up on the website. So your next question, are your products batched? So when you're printing things in a batch of one, there's no reason why you can't combine multiple orders. So if you took a product like a pen or a USB stick or a phone case, there's no reason why they can't be batched in 6, 12, 20, 50, 100. So that's a consideration for deciding how you workflow. The next thing is RIP software. Obviously, a lot of the printers or decoration methods have their own special software associated with them that do things specifically for a machine. So, and there are third-party RIP softwares. We integrate with some like CADlink, which is probably the best known. So it's important really to understand RIP software, color profiles, because all of those affect your workflow. Again, you can't be setting things individually. And I guess the final thing to decide is in-house or outsourced. Even if you're a reseller, workflow is critical. You can't be doing manual processes if people place orders on your website. It needs to go straight into the production flow. So again, those are the 6 key considerations, and I'll walk you through later on. We've got a standard form which you can fill out to help identify which workflow method works best for you. So I touched on order sources earlier. So let's start with order sources now. Really, really important that all orders go into your workflow. If you start to manage different types of orders from different people outside your main workflow, then you will end up touching it more and losing yourself money. So here are the 4 key methods that we use in our OMS software. So you can either obviously get the orders direct from a website. So if websites have our personalization software or print on demand plugin in, they can pass orders straight into the workflow. That's obviously the easiest method. There's no setup, hardly any work, and they go straight in. The next method that's popular, just because it's simple, is people can send you a CSV file with a link to the artwork, and you can import those in. So that's a quick and easy way. Someone can send you, even if they send you the CSV in the wrong format, you can at least import it. Probably the worst method from a workflow point of view, because it might require some manual input, but it's the quickest and easiest one to implement. The next option is marketplaces. Now, we've written quite a lot of integrations now to things like Amazon, eBay, Not on the High Street, where we can pull orders in from these sources straight into your workflow. So it works the same as the direct from the website. And we can write, we've got, I don't know, something like about 30 retailer integrations at the moment, and more coming on stream, every month. And the final part, if you've got technical people, systems like our Gateway OMS has an API. So you can give that to your customers and say, please pass your orders using this protocol. And obviously, if your customers are technical, they love it. It's the way they want to pass orders. And it works, again, just the same as direct from a website. There's also something you should look into, because we've now integrated with it, called Zapier. Now, Zapier is an integrator. And if you go on to Zapier and type in e-commerce, it'll give you 30 different e-commerce systems that you can integrate directly with OMS. So it's kind of a less technical API for people. So order sources is the starting point. All workflows, you need all your orders in the same system. And obviously for us, that's Gateway OMS. So the next thing to consider on your workflow are the different decoration methods. And I've just given you 4 examples here, just to kind of explain the different considerations. So the first one is sublimation. If you're doing sublimation, then the artwork needs flipping. So you're either doing that through some RIP software, or if you haven't got RIP software in place, again, Gateway OMS can do the flipping for you. But what you really don't want to be doing, and I've seen it done so many times, is getting the artwork in, opening it in something like Illustrator, flipping it, then printing. Because you've added a minute onto every job. So if you were doing 100 jobs, all of a sudden, you've got an extra nearly 2 hours worth of work just by opening files. So you have to eliminate things like that. The next thing, if we look at this example here, it could be embroidery or engraving. You need special file formats. So your customer may not send you the right information. They might just send you the text. So again, we have services within our Gateway OMS now that convert this automatically into a file that the machine can read, be it a vector file or an embroidery file. So that's quite important because, again, same principle as the flipping. If you had to then open it, or worse still with embroidery, send it away for digitization, you introduce a lot of manual processes. So they need to be considered. The next thing is like a digital print setup. And if I use the example here of a greetings card, obviously a greetings card people see online has 4 pages. But if you want to print that, it needs laying out normally on one sheet with page 1 and 4, page 2 and 3. So again, Gateway OMS will lay out the job for you, so there's no manual laying out. Again, RIP software can do this too. So the consideration really is you cannot be doing manual laying out if you want to produce greetings cards profitably. And the final example I was going to use was transfer print, where you need a cut line around the product. And again, this is so your machine can automatically cut it out rather than any manual process. And again, the Gateway system, and that's normally a separate layer on a vector file, normally in a separate color. So again, the system needs to put that on to stop manual processes happening. So they're just 4 key ones. There are other ones for other decoration methods, but a specialist workflow provider for mass customization like us deals with that. And there's a tipping point here. We work with people like CADlink who do RIP software, and sometimes we would put the information just straight into CADlink. It really depends on the workflow you're looking to do. The next point I was going to do, because people think barcodes are these weird stripy things, which they sort of are, but they're much more than that, and they're actually quite simple. in essence, as I've said down here, a barcode scanner now, if you go on something like Amazon, is £35 to buy. And every single computer supports them. It's just like a keyboard. So you simply plug a barcode scanner into the USB port on your computer or Mac, and then it will work for workflow systems. And you sort of think, well, what's the advantage of a barcode? Well, it's pretty simple. It's faster than typing. It's more accurate. You don't make mistakes. It's easier to capture updates. So we use them in our Gateway OMS to say, check the job before it's printed, download the artwork, confirm it's been dispatched, confirm it's been QC checked. And each time it's just a scan. And if we take a quick look onto the website, and this is a page on our website, which I'll share with you at the end of the webinar, but it's called, if you just typed in workflow into the search box at the top of the Custom Gateway website, you would find this page. But it's showing you here 4 points in our system where we generate barcodes. So we generate it on a job sheet, so you can scan it to find the job or dispatch the job. We generate it on a production batch sheet where you've got mixed jobs, so each one has their own barcode, so you can identify and dispatch individual jobs from within a batch. We do it on the actual artwork, so if you're making something like a greetings card, you don't need any production material if you can print a barcode on it in a hidden location. A product then has its inbuilt job sheet. We do it on production templates, which are similar to production sheets, but just laid out. And we also can create labels when you can't, like with a greetings card, print the barcode on the actual job. We print a label which you can stick to the job, which we use a lot in the garment industry. And we explain here the different scan points. So that's why barcode. The other thing to consider, and we've sort of touched on it, when you're managing your workflow, you need to think, how are your team going to work? Now, traditionally, you print a job sheet, but some people try and eliminate paper from their factories. So you could, as we just talked about, print a series of labels and stick them to the job and then scan on the computer to do the work. Or even less paper, you could simply have a terminal, which lots of the printing machines now have one anyway. So you can toggle between 2 screens, which lists the jobs, and you simply work straight from the terminal. All of that really depends, again, on the volume you're going through. But all of those are options for you. Now, I touched earlier on this page on the Custom Gateway website, which explains the workflow options in more detail. So you can see here there are 10 different workflows, and our system can accommodate loads. The best thing to do if you're thinking about what workflow can you use is go to this. What workflow is best for you? And then it gives us a form here that if you fill out this form, one of our consultants can then walk you through the best process for your business. So it covers the sort of things we've discussed so far. Now, do you want to create batches? What format do you get things? Do you want to use full workflow? Are you passing it into a RIP? Are you using third parties? All the important questions that you might need to know. So there's 23 of them. We can then give you a workflow that will be suitable for you. Just to give you a quick idea, as we're now finishing up on this webinar, there's a couple I was going to show you that we've designed for particular industries. So this is a useful one called Embroidery on Demand. And again, these are all featured on the website. And the beauty of these, if you like, this one is with one of our supplier partners, Slick Stitch. This is a precise process that covers their systems too and includes downloading of stock and ordering of stock. So it's particularly designed for embroidery. And then here's another example here of a DTG workflow that we've put together with Cornet, the leading DTG printer people. And we have 3 different workflows. So we've got a low volume one. Let's go back slide 1. We've got our in-stock garment one, and we've got a purchase order garment one. So this example of an in-stock workflow was all the orders arriving Gateway OMS, as we discussed earlier, from the different order sources. That then prints labels for all the stock you need with some text on there too, so you can see. You go and print that stock and stick the label to it. You then stack the t-shirts next to the printer, scan the label. That brings the artwork onto the screen and downloads it to the Cornet printer. Cornet printer prints it, goes through the dryer. You use some heat-proof labels. You scan it at the other end to say, yep, that's good enough quality. You scan it again to say, I want the dispatch label. It prints the dispatch label, puts it into the carrier system, job done. So you can see how that's a nicely refined workflow for DTG. And if you look on here, we've got different workflows, which I'm not going to go into every one for you today. So if you went back onto here, you'll see at customgateway.co.uk/print/Gateway OMS workflow options. That would give you that. If you've got your mobile with you, you could scan the QR code on the screen to download it there, or simply type workflow into the search box on the Custom Gateway site. And I'm just going to finish up by kind of showing you the workflow system here. So it shows you all the jobs as they've come in, and it gives you a status. So it says here, received by supplier, and all of these are new orders, but we could then search by what's been dispatched, etc. And it gives you an audit trail. And we can give you more in-depth things, but in simple terms, that's the workflow and the factors that influence the workflow that are important when doing mass customization. So I think the best tip is obviously pop to our website, fill out the questionnaire and talk to one of our team, or just go through in your own mind the factors. But the absolute key is you've got to find a workflow that means minimum touching points of the product. So thank you for listening. Enjoy your day.